everybody, it's Kelsee Briana Jai here with my November favorites, and it has been a while since I have done favorites. I actually don't think that I have done them all year, probably not last year, and I was like, you know what I miss doing? I miss doing favorites because it's where I could just talk about products that I have been loving. It's like a reset. It's a recap. I get to share what I'm loving. Y'all share your comments and you tell me what you've been loving. And so since it's been a while, I'll just give you an overview of what I like to talk about in my favorites. I like to talk about my favorite makeup products. I like to talk about my favorite things in culture, Kelsee on culture, my favorite comments. I kind of update you guys about some things that I've been doing, and sometimes I will sprinkle in a little bit of PR. I gotta start off this video by talking about some of my life favorites because there's been a lot of things going on. I've been launching a few different things, and I have to start off this video by talking about my new endeavor that I have recently launched to you guys, KBJ Atelier. That is my absolute favorite thing that I have been doing here lately, and I have been working on KBJ Atelier for over 4 years in the background. It is a curation of designer, vintage, one-of-a-kind pieces that I have hand selected and placed on eBay for you guys to purchase. KBJ Atelier was definitely a love child that I had behind the scenes, where I needed to do something creative. I needed to be able to still express myself in a way but not do it in front of the camera, because I just needed to take a step back from creating content. And it's not that I was burned out, it was just that I just needed a break from everything. So it's not even the content. It wasn't even the makeup, because I still love makeup. I still consume content. But it's just something about me stepping into a new space where it's like, okay, what do I want to do? How do I want to approach this? That I had to take a step back and be like, okay, let me figure out what I'm doing, what my goals are. And so I decided to do KBJ Atelier because I know that I love fashion. I know that I've always wanted to have a clothing line. I always have. But the way that I want to do my clothing line, it requires a lot more. And not saying that I will never do it, but this is a way for me to do it now, because I always have so many ideas, and sometimes I suffer from decision paralysis, where I will just sit on something for a while, and that can be a good thing or a bad thing, you know, because I am a perfectionist. I am highly type A. And so, especially when I'm trying to present something, I want it to be the most perfect version of itself. And that sometimes can prevent you from actually doing things because you're waiting on the right moment, and the right moment just might not come. So it's just good to take the first step and put yourself out there. So I can be both. Like I said in my video where I talked about KBJ Atelier in a little bit more depth, I will link that down below. I was like, you know, I have this perfection syndrome with certain things I don't. And I think as I get older and I get into a different space and I kind of already have a reputation of being one way, it can be difficult to completely flip the script and do something else because people know you for doing this. So it's kind of difficult to do that. So it's like, I'm not Beyonce or anything, but I understand how she felt doing country, because it's like you almost got to prove a point. And so I wanted to do this, not as a way to prove a point, because nobody was challenging me and telling me I couldn't do it. But it was to prove a point to myself, to challenge myself to do something else creatively that's not directly tied to makeup, because this is all that I really have done. I've always been tied to beauty. So it's like I will do something else, but I have to tie it to beauty. It's like, yeah, you can do this, but make it beauty. And this is not tied to that directly. Fashion and beauty go hand in hand, but this is its own thing. And so KBJ Atelier has been so special to me because it has been something that I've been able to do completely on my own terms. So for that, that is the first favorite thing that I have to share for this video for November, and probably for December too. And I will have a link for you guys to check it out if you are interested. You can purchase things. I'm constantly adding things to my online store for you guys to shop. And like I said, they are one of one. So it's not like you can never find some of the things that I have on there ever again. But some of them I've never found again. Some of these things I think are one of one. Some things may be handmade, and you just never know what you're going to get on there. So definitely check back in frequently, and then follow my Instagram page that I created for KBJ Atelier. And if you purchase something, you can send me a picture. I do want to post you on my Instagram page. So thank you so much for your support on that. My second favorite thing has got to be my podcast that I started with Glam Girl Chelsea. It is called The Bosses of Beauty, and oh my gosh, we have been talking about this podcast for years. This is another thing that I've been wanting to do, and I specifically wanted to do it with Chelsea because Chelsea, we are not alike, but we are alike, and I feel like she is just my soul sister. We work really well together. And I just think that she gets me. She's flexible. She is creative. She's funny. She's engaging. And she, I think, is the perfect person for me to banter off of with a podcast. And so I knew that I wanted to bring it back because we did Behind the Beauty in the pandemic. And we did that with Alicia. And I loved Behind the Beauty. And I always hated that it ended. But what ended up happening is that everybody just got really busy towards the end of Behind the Beauty because the world was opening back up, and the basis of the show was centered on booking guests. And you know, there's so many people in the beauty industry that we could book, but with everything changing and people starting to get back to their normal lives, it was starting to become a little bit difficult to book the guests. And also at the time, Alicia was leaning more so into the fitness space, and she was really honing on her craft and her clients in that way. And Chelsea was still down with it, but also she was pregnant and she was working and focusing on her goals. And then me, I was in school, and then I was like, I still want to do it though. But you know, I kind of didn't want to do it by myself, and then it was a lot of challenges. So what ended up happening was that we shelved it unintentionally, and then it's just been a while getting back into it. And I always told Chelsea, you know, I want to do the podcast again. We asked Alicia. She was like, I give y'all my blessing. I have other things that I want to focus on, but I enjoyed my time. And so I always respect that. So we decided to go forward with a new idea, but I didn't want to call it the same thing because it's not the same thing. And so we decided on the Bosses of Beauty because we just felt like that was such a powerful name. And to be a boss in anything requires you to have a certain level of command, and it requires you to be at the top of your game. You are the epitome of whatever it is. And so we said we were going to be the Bosses of Beauty because we've been in this industry, we've put our time in, and we just felt like we were the bosses. You know what I'm saying? And not saying other people can't be bosses, because you can be a boss in your own right. But I just felt like that title was so cool. It was so commanding that we had to go with it. Chelsea agreed. And so we set in motion to do this podcast last year. But you know, life starts lifing. And so then I randomly called Chelsea. I was like, Chelsea, let's do this. Let's do this. She was like, okay, well, let's wait till January. I was like, nah, let's do it today. So literally, she was like, okay. And that's what I love about Chelsea. That's my girl, because she is going to roll with it. So she agrees to it. And we have been doing the podcast ever since. I enjoy doing that podcast so immensely. We have created a separate channel just for the podcast. So please make sure you go and support that. And we also have an Instagram for that. Y'all. We have so many things in store for that. And I don't want y'all to miss out. So make sure you go and support. My voice is gone. I have been talking nonstop for about 5 days straight. And I talk a lot anyways. But I literally have not stopped talking at any point for 5 days unless I was asleep, because I've been gone for Thanksgiving. I was around my family, which is always a good time, but that does take all my energy. Sure does. Because I traveled this Thanksgiving. It was a weather change. It was it was a lot of things going on. I had a good time, but hello. Yeah, I'm definitely on my last leg, but I'm like, you know what, before it fully goes, I'm gonna do this video. But I had a good time. I hope that you all had a good Thanksgiving. If you celebrate, let me know what your favorite Thanksgiving side is, because mine is definitely macaroni and cheese for sure. I do not eat macaroni and cheese a lot, but on Thanksgiving I have to have it. And guess what? I didn't even have no macaroni and cheese this year. So I'm going to have some for Christmas. My grandmother hooks it up. So I want her to make me my own pan because I didn't get none for Thanksgiving. And the last time I had it was last Christmas. So it's about that time. Let's get into some makeup products, okay? First and foremost, I love this Say Glowy Gel. What is this called? This is called the Glowy Super Gel. I love Warm Glow. I put it underneath, I put it underneath my makeup. I mix it in with my makeup and it just gives me an electric look, but in a very subtle candlelit way. It's very warm. There's several different colors of this, but I love it because it just gives me a natural highlight. I'm not really doing a lot of extremely blinging highlight, and I feel like a lot of people aren't. So I love this because it's a very nice, sophisticated, kind of subtle, kind of there, naturally occurring highlight. It just gives me a little bit of life back to the skin because my skin just gets real dry and my hands are dry as we speak. So this just adds that luminosity there and it's not overpowering. You see? Yeah, it gives me a little tint to the skin because sometimes I need that as I'm losing a little bit of my tan. You know, it's cloudy outside. I'm relying a lot more on wearing deeper colors of foundation. I almost always have on a darker color of foundation when I'm on camera, as well as bronzer, you know. So this is helping my skin because sometimes I need a little bit of boom. I need a little bit of so I like that. And it's lightweight, it blends out, and it doesn't feel weird, and it doesn't separate. Plays well with a lot of other products. And like I said, I like to use it for a variety of different things. I also love this. This is my second bottle of this You to the People Superfood Skin Drip. This is a smooth and glow serum. And again, my hand is dry. Look at the demonstration. It brings you right on back to life. And y'all, I get so many compliments on my skin when I use this, especially when I use it the night before and I feel like it just marinates on the skin. People are like, oh my gosh, your skin is so beautiful. It looks so radiant. It looks so healthy. And I feel like this is the only thing that I add to it when I get all those compliments the next day. So it says apply to clean skin, use twice a day. And, you know, you can use this underneath your makeup as skin prep. You can use it at night. And I just feel, it feels good. It feels hydrated. My skin is very, very dry this time of year. I need something to bring it back to life. I like this. It feels like it's doing something. I can see the effects of it. And I'm a person that likes to, I like to see it. It's like, okay, you say you doing it. I can't tell. And if I can't tell, then I'm not going to continue it on. You know, I'm a person that has to see the progress. Otherwise, I personally don't feel incentivized to continue on. And with this, the progress is almost immediately noticeable. Okay? I like this. It's really good. Two products from one size. Number one, I really like this powder. This is the Boucle Silk Airbrush powder. It is a pressed powder. I have 3 shades of this. I have medium golden. I also have dark deep. I use the dark deep as a very natural bronzer because it is a skin tone shade. I feel like it has a nice little golden reflex to it. It looks like my skin but a little bit more enhanced, and that's what I like this for. So on days where I'm not trying to do full glam, I just want to look like child. This right here was on my desk, and when I said, I don't know if you saw my eyes, but when I set my powder down, it's like I saw this like move for some reason. It's like it moved to the left, and I thought it was a bug. I was about to get on up out of here. I'm not gonna hold you. I was like, video over. Glad y'all enjoyed it, but I gotta go. The bug can have the whole room. Yeah, I was about to evacuate, stop, drop, and roll, and get on up out of here. But anyways, back to it. Medium golden, I use this to set all over the skin, and I think it's just lovely. So this is a very nice soft powder. It adds just a little. Can y'all hear that baby upstairs? These people just moved in upstairs a couple months ago, and they have a baby. The baby is not too bad. It only cries maybe once a day. Not for long either. But it's crying right now, and I need you to stop. Anyways, I hope y'all can't hear that, baby. It's a soft powder. It gives you a little bit of coverage, not a lot, just a very, 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 very minuscule amount. And I like the way it looks on the skin. And I love the way that the deeper powder looks like a naturally bronzed, contoured, sculpted situation. This powder melt spray by One Size, I don't know what he put in it. I really don't know, Patrick. This possibly is my favorite spray of all time. It's just perfect because I'm a person who doesn't like to be too matte, and I don't like to be too glowy either. I just want my makeup to look like my makeup looks after wearing it for about an hour. Okay, so I just want it to be worn in. I want that powder to melt. I want my skin to look like skin, but I don't mind it to look like makeup either, but I don't want it to look cakey, and I don't want to see the powder particles. I want it to look like my skin is naturally full coverage glammed, you know? And this spray gives you that. This is a winner in my book. This is a glass setting spray. It is the perfect balance between being not matte, not dewy, just melted. I don't know what Patrick Ta put in these, and let me turn this one around. But the Major Dimension Essential Artistry Edit eyeshadow palettes, these are my favorite neutral eyeshadow palettes at this point. This has overtaken every neutral eyeshadow palette that I have had in my collection ever. And the previous queen or king that held the title to that throne was Viseart. And for forever, nobody could outdo Viseart. And I've always loved my Tom Ford eyeshadow quads, most specifically the neutral one. And I feel like this is even better because it is that same velvety, smooth, matte type finish. It gives beautiful pigmentation, beautiful blendability. But what's even better about this is that there's variation. And with Cocoa Mirage, my Tom Ford, it is extremely cool toned, which I loved. But sometimes I want something that's more neutral, and Patrick Ta came through, updated it for the girls, and made it in compact packaging so you could use this on the go. So if you need to throw it in a makeup bag to travel with, or say you do your makeup on the go on the train, this is a nice bite size. But the eyeshadows are not small because I don't like little bitty eyeshadows. This is just perfect in every single way. And I asked you guys in my video that I did with Chelsea, where we were kind of like judging each other's Sephora's carts, if I just needed to go ahead and get the other two, because it comes in 3 different variations. There's light, medium, and deep. And so of course I got medium because hello. And so I'm like, but it's so nice. Do I need the other 2? And Chelsea's like, well, ask your people. And so a lot of y'all were like, no, you don't. You don't need it. But then I talked to my friend Dawn, who is also a Kel Belle. Hey, Dawn. And she was like, Kelsee, no, you need it. You definitely need it. They're going to give you a different look. They're so smooth. They're so velvety. And you already know you're going to use it. And so I'm like, you know what? It really don't take that much to, you know, get me to go get something that I already was kind of on the edge of getting. So I did go ahead and do 2 trips to Sephora, to 2 different Sephoras, 45 minutes apart, mind you, because one Sephora had this and the other Sephora had that. But at the end of the day, now I have them both, okay? I had to have the light and the deep because she was right. They are different vibes. I already knew that, but I was trying to be good. But what good is being good when you can be bad? So, boom. I have to mention this just because I've used it every single day since I've gotten it. This is the YSL Couture Face Palette. This one was limited edition for the holidays. I am more than sure that this palette is sold out at Sephora, but you may be able to find it like at a Nordstrom or maybe in a Sephora store. But as far as online, I'm not sure if this is going to restock or not. Because you know how they come out with their holiday stuff and then it's like, okay girl, the holidays are almost over. We ain't coming out with no more. You should have got it back when it first launched. I feel like that's how they feel about this. But if you got your hands on it, you got your hands on a really nice one. Look at this packaging for one. And I just love this color story. I feel like it has almost everything that I need. I do wish that this pink blush was more bright and not so mauve-y. But I mean, I could deal with it. I think that that is the thing that I use the least in this palette, alongside this like bronzy type. I guess this is a highlighter. But as far as the other, I use it all the time. And I actually, like I said, just traveled. and I felt like it was just the perfect travel companion, and it's so beautiful. And YSL makes some of my favorite blushes because they blend out so nicely and they give a beautiful whisper of color that allows you to build upon it if you so desire. Okay, I feel like this video was very powder heavy because I talked about the One Size powder. Now I gotta talk about this Say powder. This one is the Slip Tint. Y'all, I love this powder more so for touch-ups than anything because it's a translucent powder, but it's tinted. And if you are a brown skin baddie, then you already know sometimes if you use just straight up white translucent, it can look ashy. It can leave behind a white cast. And so having a tinted translucent powder gives you a nice finish to the skin without adding too much more coverage and not emphasizing the texture that a white powder sometimes can. Because you know, if you have melanin and you put white on top of melanin, what does it give you? It gives you ashy Larry. Not all the time, but a lot of times. And so it's good to have a little bit of that tint. But if you don't want to add too much more coverage, then this would be good, like I said, for touch-ups. Or even if you just want to use it to set your makeup. So if you have a no makeup day and you don't necessarily want to be just glowy every single place and you want to have a targeted place where you can set it down and not add too much, this is an excellent powder. So pretty. And I feel the exact same way about this Dior powder, which is my last beauty favorite. I want to say, yes, it is. This is the Dior Forever Nude Matte Filter Powder. I have the shade Medium. Now, somebody asked me, how does this compare to the Dior Backstage powder, which has sadly been discontinued? And I read that comment. And I'll have you know that I take that very seriously, okay? So I am still investigating that, but I promise you I will report back with my findings because I have not done my due diligence in researching what I really think about that. Like, I just can't throw that out all willy-nilly because I know so many people are mourning the loss of that powder that if I say that this powder is the same and it's not, I might just get jumped, you know? So I need to take my time and really research that, and I will get back to you about it because I didn't even think about that myself. But this is a really lightweight, translucent setting powder. Like I said, use it to knock out the shine or use it to, you know, for touch-ups or whatever, or you can use it during your initial application, and it is literally like a filter in a powder form. So I didn't realize how many powders I had here, but I'm happy to have more powders. I love a powder, and it's good to have all of these types of powders because I need to have variety. The beauty industry is changing. They're taking away talc from a lot of things, so I need to have some alternatives that I've become acquainted with when the time comes where I officially cannot have talc anymore, which is gonna suck, but you know, it is what it is. These are all of my beauty favorites. Let me know what beauty products you have been loving down in the comment section. I do have one favorite that I want to share in Kelsee on Culture, and that is Welcome to Dairy. I love that show. First of all, I have to say that I love it. I am not a clown person whatsoever. I actually am mildly afraid of clowns. Growing up, I was afraid of Barney. I was afraid of Chuck E. Cheese. The little clown thing that's in the back, you know. But I'm not afraid to the point where I can't face it. Like, I always was like a little mini gangster too. But, I mean, I was kind of like, ugh. I'll look at it. And in my heart, I felt a little bit of fear. But my spirit told me to go on. I knew I was divinely protected. So I wasn't ever really scared, okay? But anyways, It. Clowns. Creepy. I love the movie It. Not necessarily the 1990 version, but I love that 2017 version. That's my favorite version of It. It Chapter 2 was a little bit slow for me, but it was some scenes in that movie that I liked as well. So when I heard that they were coming out with a TV adaptation, a series, if you will. Not a TV adaptation. What year is it, girl? A series on the streaming platform. First of all, I said series. And next thing you know, this phone lighting up like I said Siri. I ain't say nothing about you, honey. Anyways, a series. I didn't say Siri, but anyways. I knew that I was going to love it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. And my favorite thing about the show is that the kids are killing it. Oh my gosh. The kids are killing it. And I thought I was going to be tired of watching shows about like groups of kids, you know, because it's already Stranger Things. And then they did that with the movie It. And then they did it in like, what, I don't know. I was just like, I don't want to see no kids running around here cussing. I'm tired of it. The novelty is worn off. We know, kids cuss, whatever. But the show is so much more than that. And it's special to me because it takes place in a time where everything is so racially charged. And they don't shy away from that topic. They actually incorporate it into the story beautifully, so where it makes sense, but it doesn't overpower the story. It is not the main focal point of the story, but it is an integral part of the story. And I feel like it addresses certain topics without seeming too woke, like you're trying to prove a point, which I think is very hard to do. Because a lot of times, even in, like, say for instance, in Just Like That, I felt like they overcorrected the issue of people telling them, you know, there's not enough diversity in the show. So it's like, oh, we didn't realize that. Let us give everybody their own diverse friend. Like, I don't want it to be so obvious. And with Welcome to Derry, I feel like it's not obvious. The writing is brilliant. And it's a little bit scary. Now, I will say, I do not like a lot of the CGI that they're incorporating. I feel like the CGI is not really that scary. I don't know. I think that baby is really on one. But I feel like as we progress forward with our technological advances, why I feel like CGI looks worse than ever. I'm watching this movie from back in the day and this movie from back in the day. I feel like they did more to make it look realistic. And I think that a lot of the direction of new movies and TV shows are relying too heavily on CGI to the point where it's like they don't even look real. It doesn't look real. I thought it was supposed to look more authentic than that. And so I think that it's giving the opposite effects because it's just, I don't know, it looks too computerized. I think it's going to be one of those things that we look back on in a couple of years where it's just going to look funny and we're going to laugh at how bad it is, because I think that a lot of these showrunners have CGI blindness. Like, especially that scene in the dang on cemetery. I'm like, this looks like an episode of Goosebumps. Like, that was not scary at all. I want to be scared. I want my heart to be jumping. I want to have my shoulders hunched. I want to have my jaw clenched. I want to be on the edge of my seat, afraid for these characters' lives. And I'm just sitting there looking like, really? That looks so fake. Thankfully, that doesn't take away from the storytelling, because I do enjoy the show. And as it stands, we are on episode 6, which I will say, and I will admit, episode 6 is obviously a filler episode. They did fill in a few cracks to explain certain things that people had a hunch about, because y'all already know I'm reading the forums about it. I'm on TikTok watching people's reviews about it. I am deeply invested in it. And a lot of people theorized, and you know what, I don't want to give it away if you haven't watched it, but there have been some theories that people have had in regards to certain characters, certain plots, you know, and a few people were right. They were spot on, and a few people were way wrong. And so with episode 6, it was kind of like one of those episodes that just kind of fills in a few cracks, but then it leaves us on a major cliffhanger that we gotta wait until next week to see. Which I hate when shows do that. Because it's like, girl, we're going to watch it. Like, I don't need you to leave me on no cliffhanger like that. Leave me with something. So, anyways, let me know if you all have seen it. Because, like I said, I love it. I love horror anyways. That's my favorite genre. So, if you have any other recommendations of shows that are similar, let a girl know. But that is everything in my favorites. Like I said, shop KBJ Atelier. It is sustainable, luxury, vintage. All of the amazing pieces that I have hand selected. Make sure y'all watch the Bosses of Beauty podcast and subscribe. Thumbs up. Follow us on Instagram. Follow my personal Instagram, Kelsee Briana Jai, because I feel like I get no traction on Instagram whatsoever. I feel like Instagram is one of those social media sites that it is impossible to reach new people because of the things that they've done in the past few years. So you absolutely have to do it the grassroots way and just tell people to go follow you there. So make sure you follow me there, as well as on TikTok. I am posting on TikTok, so make sure that you are not missing out on exclusive content that I am uploading to that platform. And make sure, of course, that you are locked in here. You are a Kel Belle. I will have links for you guys to shop everything that I talked about. I appreciate you guys clicking and shopping through my links. It does help to support the Kel Belle community. And even if you don't shop, just simply subscribing, commenting, and staying engaged with your girl does help me out more than you know. So, with that being said, I appreciate you watching until the end of the video. And I will check you all in my next video, which will be, hopefully I don't lose my voice, but super, super soon. Okay, I'm going to go be quiet now. Smooches. Bye.